Jacob Morgan, a 17-year-old from Rock Hill, SC, was in court for a probable cause hearing on charges of arson and murder linked to the tragic death of his 14-month-old brother. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as prosecutors claimed that Morgan had intentionally and maliciously set the fatal fire, causing his brother's death. When confronted with the accusation, the teen convict reacted with extreme distress, freaking out in court. This shocking display highlights the urgent need to address mental health and violence prevention among youth, and to provide effective support before it's too late. The tragedy of this case serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked mental health issues and the importance of early intervention.
The malice that it would take to set a fire in the bedroom where the child is in the crib sleeping. A burn pattern that goes from underneath that child towards the door of the bedroom that is caused by likely something. It's a significant burn pattern as he described it. It could have been alcohol, it could have been something else that gets consumed by the fire, but a significant burn pattern shows that there is something said significant and intentional. And at that point, to start a fire in that room is hidden, and to walk away, not trying to escape that fire, and immediately starting another fire in the living room. And then to claim it's an accident, that it got out of control, that's an extreme recklessness, and that's intent, that's maliciousness, that's a definition of malice. And as you walk away from the fire that you've just lit in another room with a small baby, walk into the front room like that.
Dylan Schumacher, a teenage convict, was found guilty of second-degree murder and child abuse charges after beating his girlfriend's 23-month-old child while babysitting. He appeared in the Buffalo, New York courthouse for his sentencing, crying and expressing remorse for his actions. Despite his emotional display, he was still convicted by the jurors, leading to a shocking reaction from the teenage convict.
I didn't mean to kill Austin. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
The text above mentions that a phone call between Dylan Schumacher and his mother was recorded while he was awaiting his trial. No further details are provided. Now, listen to the judge on what Schumacher said to his mother.
In a phone call to your mother from the holding center, you stated, and I got a quote from the court reporter, "I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me."
I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin.
Schumacher was later sentenced to the maximum punishment, but that sentence was later modified to 18 years to life. Fernando Salgado, 18, pled not guilty out of fear of going back to jail, which was not unexpected. But what transpired in the courtroom was undoubtedly stunning. After learning that his bond was set at $300,000 and that he wouldn't have the ability to lower it for 2 weeks, Salgado begged to be allowed to return home. In response, his relatives interrupted the court. Is the young man crying now the same one who did so earlier? The same youngster who, according to the authorities, used a piece of metal rebar to sodomize another teen? His family refuses, making arrangements to cover the high bail price. Several people showed there to defend Salgado and the 2 minor boys accused of taking part in the attacks at B. Miller High School, illustrating how profoundly split the community is. Shondell Jackson is facing sentencing for the murder of college student Nathan Potter. Jackson and a friend were on the lookout for victims when they spotted Potter leaving a bar. They demanded money from him, but when he couldn't produce any, Jackson shot and killed him. Although Jackson fled to Mississippi, he was eventually apprehended thanks to a tip from his uncle. During the trial, Jackson made gestures towards the victim's family and smiled at them as he was escorted out of the courtroom. Before his sentencing, Jackson's mother told the court that she first learned about the killing on television.
When I saw it on the news, I even cried. I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine what that mother is going through. I never had a clue that my child had anything to do with it. My son is not a monster. He is not a monster.
Shondell Jackson now apologizes for what he has done.
Apologize for my behaviors. Please don't take my life from me.
When the judge delivered the news that Shondell Jackson would receive a life sentence in prison with no chance of parole, he had a violent outburst. Tony Farmer, once a highly ranked basketball prospect, had his life drastically changed after making a wrong decision as a 17-year-old. In 2012, Farmer was accused of kidnapping and assaulting his ex-girlfriend. with clear video footage backing up the allegations. Although his family, friends, and even the victim defended him, Farmer was found guilty and sentenced to 3 years in prison, a tough pill to swallow for a teenager in the heat of the moment. In court, Farmer even fainted and created the infamous bra meme. In a matter of seconds, his whole life and basketball career were ruined. Despite being in an unbelievably tough situation, Farmer faced the consequences and served his time, coming out of prison 3 years later in 2015.
In case 562027, that the defendant shall serve a term of 3 years, which is the minimum on count 1 of that. As to count 2 in that case, felonious assault, a felony of the 2nd degree, it is ordered that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years in prison on that count. As to count 3 of that case, the robbery, which is also a felony of the 2nd degree, the court orders that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years on that count as well.